Well, hello. Thanks for watching. There's so much going on towards the end of May. I mean, there's so much in the news. There's so much heartbreak. There's so much to do with graduation and end school things. But I wanted to let you know of some news for us and what is happening the end or the beginning of June. And to make a long story short, I'll try to be brief. But Emily and I have felt led to let the Leawood house go. And this house has been in my family for 51 some years. And we have had ownership over it for about 6 or 7. It's not connected to the nonprofit doesn't own it or anything, but we have used this house for one-on-one work. Emily's done a lot of creative direction and gatherings. I've done some gatherings and I've done one-on-one spiritual direction with people. And yeah, it's crazy, but it just the past year or so, it's really felt and sensed. We've just had the sense that it's time to kind of rethink having the house, and it's a big house, and we've used it in small ways, and so majority of my work, again one-on-one, requires probably 100 square foot, and the house is 3,000 square feet, and we did have some visions of like people can stay here, and we've done some of that. But we've realized that if we are to do that kind of like retreat style group work, it probably would be best to be out of town. And to be honest, personally, just owning a second house in the same town, sometimes it feels a little crazy because we can't like, hey guys, let's go, let's drive 5 minutes and go stay at our other house. It's just, the whole thing has been kind of crazy, but it's worked. And it's worked for our unique vocation, and it's worked for Greensboro. We, with all of that said, we just sensed that it was time to let it go, and yet we didn't really have anything to move us to action. And then Emily was approached by Chad and Michael, and Michael's her sister. Chad's my brother-in-law, and they were planning to move from Charlotte to Morganton, where Chad grew up. And so they had narrowed their house purchase down to 2 houses, and so they asked Emily to go with them to see the 2 houses and help them discern maybe which house would be better. So Emily went up there. I wasn't with her. I think this was like mid-March, and Michael and Chad ended up getting one of the houses. There were 5 houses down from each other. So they looked at both. Michael and Chad ended up getting that one house. But the other house just kind of stuck with Emily. She woke up the next day and she said, John, this house that we looked at, it's just staying with me. Will you go see it? And I'm like, okay, fine. We'll go. So actually, we had an event at Leawood called Anxiety and the Holy Imagination, and it was a great event. We had like 30 people. We used the sunroom. It was awesome. And the irony is, right after that event, I went up with Emily and met Michael and Chad up there, and we looked at this house and walked through it. And y'all, I just fell in love with it. There's so many things about the house that really prompted me towards knowing that this could be really good on 2 levels, one for our family and just kind of being up there and having a second home. And the other was just, I could imagine myself and others up there as a retreat, as seeking the Lord outside of Greensboro. And I'll share more about that later, but basically, it really touched on some things that had been in us with letting go of the Leawood house, but also I've just really been stirred up by doing more things out in the woods and walking in the trails and using creation. I mean, if you just go walk around, that creation has so much to say, and kind of pairing that with just people's need to get away and to retreat, to get away from Greensboro, to get away from their phones. And I'm actually doing a men's adventure camping retreat at the end of August, about 30 minutes away from where this house is. So that's been inside of me lately too. So Sure enough, I, with Emily, just fell in love with this house and then committed to praying and seeking God. And it was that was quite a process. But here we are. We made an offer. They accepted our offer. We put Leawood on the market. It's under contract. And all of this is going to probably happen within the next few weeks. Um, so, what does that mean for my work and for my spiritual direction, discipleship, soul care? It just so happens that last year we renovated a room behind our house. So, in our house at Hamilton Lakes, we have a separate garage, and we just renovated that room, and it is a perfect size for one-on-one or meeting with couples. So that will kind of become my meeting place, alongside of something else I stumbled into. I live real close to the Hamilton Lake Trails. I mentioned that. And there's a 30-minute and a 60-minute loop. And I've walked with a few people in a spiritual direction where we have spiritual conversation and we just walk those trails, which are great even in the summertime because they're so shaded. And that has been really life-giving to me. And I've done that with students and with older people. And so that could also be part of where I do my one-on-one work. Also, small group gatherings. I was in Kathleen Clay Library, and that's a good example of, they said, yo, yeah, you can come and you can bring 40 people and you can do a 2-hour session and then go walk on the trails. And it's, but there are other places and other places that have kind of presented themselves as potential local gatherings like the one we did in March on the Holy Imagination. So that all of these things have just kind of presented themselves, and it's left me with so much excitement and life and joy and opportunity and holy possibility. And so Michael and Chad did end up buying that house. And then this house is just a few houses down from their house. So that's really great, I think, for our family. But Chad and I have done a lot of stuff with guys too. And I'm just like, my mind just starts to spin. And this house it has a particular room, and I'll just say this and I'll be done. And this room it felt like a kind of a C.S. Lewis room, like kind of an old sort of like gathering place to talk about old ancient truths and just reflect and chew and converse about God and everyday life. And so that has stuck with me. So I really see the possibility with that. I can't wait to show you more. And I look forward to to being with you in all of this. Thank you so much for your prayer, for your support on so many levels. Thank you, thank you, thank you.